record, and then everybody will know that it's being recorded, except for I don't see that it's being recorded. Why does it not show that?
It's showing. It's okay.
Oh,
You
it
know,
is?
I see it up at the top
Okay.
on my
It's,
iPad.
oh, good. Okay, I don't see it on mine, but as long as y'all see it. Oh, yeah, I see it now. Up top. Up top. Once I enlarge the screen. Oh, Bob Yeager is here. I left him a voicemail. Well, actually, I left Karis a voicemail. Karis is Bob's dog. And I asked Karis to relay the message to Bob. So apparently, Karis did so. Um,
She do so much. So
I never had a dog listening to it also, but why not? There's a first time for everything.
where'd she go? I don't know where she is. Yeah. Thank you so much for the reminder, Gail. I completely forgot to check the calendar. So I'm happy to see you all. Happy to see you, Irwin. And now my daughter is calling. Okay, I'm going to answer this and then I'll be back. Bye-bye.
Deborah's here.
Let's see. Oh, good. Deborah Lesson, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. We're all excited about the possibility of a recording Irwin for posterity. And some of you had got the idea that this was a serious group, so we'll let him know that this is quite the boisterous poetry group. We're fun-loving.
When you say this is for posterity, you know who posterity is.
Tell
It's
me.
coming back again and having to listen to everything we once did and wondering who it is.
Aha.
Posterity for you.
Your painting of Baba behind you is beautiful.
That was done by Susan White, and it's what I call her masterpiece. It is a beautiful painting, and it is where Baba was a vision that she had. You see, she had this vision, and I'm trying to get it into the picture here.
There, that's good. That's good.
All right, well, like this here, it'll be okay. And she had a vision of Baba and painted it, and this is it. So it was what I felt was one of her very best painting, if not the very best one that she ever did. And so then I got that painting from her at the time, and so this is sits in our living room, really big, where we can see it whenever we want, along with all the other pictures of Baba. It's hard to pick out which picture we want to look at.
Well, art must run in the family. She's Wincoates' sister, right? Am I right?
That's right.
That's what I thought. So we know him for his photography. Ruthie, did you know that she was an artist?
Yeah, I've been watching her paintings for years. She's incredibly good. And yeah, Irwin, I am so with you on that. I think that is her masterpiece.
Yeah, I only have masterpieces here. I don't like anything else. If it's not a masterpiece, it doesn't belong here.
So you and Judy.
And Judy is laughing too.
She's a masterpiece.
Here. And she's a masterpiece too.
Yes.
Why she's here. I wouldn't have her here otherwise.
Pieces of the master. I get it.
Well, the truth of the matter is that Baba only produces masterpieces. All of us are part of his production. And he enjoys his life through the minds of each person because he is the self of everyone, which is something that he revealed in this age where people where it was never really spoken of like that in past advents. He never really said that there is one self behind the bodies and minds of all beings, and that this one self is the only existence that there is, and that when he realized God, that's what Baba Jan made him see, that he was the infinite one, meaning there was no one else. To say he's the infinite one applies that there may have been someone else that he's seeing himself as being infinite from, but there is no one else. When a person realizes God, in the end, that's the end of the spiritual path, is the realization of God. Then you see that you and Baba are the same. There was no difference. There's only one. There never was two, and there never was even more than two, much less three. So you don't get any more. You have one, and that's what there is. But to experience that is not the same as hearing about it. You hear about it, we're still in a state of our own minds in which multiplicity is what we experience. We experience ourselves as being separate from all other selves. However, in the final experience, when you experience the God state within your own being, I mean, God is not somewhere else. He's your own self within your own being, but you have to see yourself as unlimited rather than limited. That's as much as I'm going to say about that for the moment. There's more coming up later.
Okay, well, I am going to go. We are everybody who joins already knows that we were recording this. Irwin thought it would be a good idea to record the banter before we start, but let's go ahead and start, and people can join in. Irwin, Eva, our friend, called you and asked you to do this a couple of months ago, and you agreed, and we were happy. And we've got 15 people joining, and I think the people just join as they will. Sometimes we'll hear a little bell when people join. So if we hear something that sounds something like a little doorbell, that means that somebody's joined. I don't know if it always happens, but this is the new iteration of Zoom. So welcome to Irwin Luck. He lives in Myrtle Beach with his beautiful wife, Judy, and he has lived in Myrtle Beach many, many, many years. And Irwin met Baba many times. He and his brother Edward were photographers and collectors of Baba information. So much of what we've got in the early days, Irwin was the one. So we're glad to have you tonight. Welcome, and go ahead and you're going to start with your poetry.
You know, I got a very good poem because, as I said earlier, I don't write anything that's not good. So you're going to like this. If you do, you can let me know what you think about it. If you don't say nothing. Now here it is. It's titled, "I Will Grant You Anything." Anything? That's the title. It really happened. The great avatar who could really do this asked the man who came to him that he would grant him whatever he wanted. Maybe you would like to be the richest of men, or to have the power to control whatever life brings. Women can be at your beck and call, or be a man who the elite of the world comes to, a leader of men and countries. Anything means anything you want. Maybe the great avatar did not say it exactly in those words, but it meant the same thing. Or he said, better yet, just be as you are and do exactly as I say. What would you choose? The man, I am told, was Francis Brabazon. Till the end of his life, he lived by Mayor Baba's command. After all was said and done, he would not have had it any other way. See what real love can do? It makes you a lover in the greatest love story the world can know. You won't mind giving up all, including every opinion you ever held, if only the almighty lover once excuse me, if only the almighty lover tests your love with the age-old choice. If I learned anything, I learned this. When eternal love calls, do not look the other way. Love you always, Irwin Luck. How's that? And this really happened with Francis. You know, it really happened. If anyone has any commentary they want to make, don't hesitate. This is a Zoom.
Yes, JP has a hand up. JP, do you have something?
Yeah, hi, this is Jignesh. Jay Baba, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Irwin. Hi,
Hey.
everyone. So I'm here with my son. He's 7.5, and I was just telling him about Baba, and he said, "Irwin's here. He's alive." I go, "Yeah, he's right here." So he wanted to ask you, what question did you want to ask Irwin?
Go ahead,
Irvin right now?
What did he say?
Speak up.
Where's Irvin right now?
What is?
Where's Irwin right now?
Where?
Oh, I'm at my house in my home in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That's where I live. And we have a condo here, and that's where I'm talking from.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, I have a question for you. You know, I've been reading your book, Irwin and the Avatar, loving it. And many things are coming up as I'm reading, but I'm curious to see your relationship with different mandali. Did you have an affinity towards one more than the other, or everyone was different? Like,
You know, this is a good question. And it came up in my early time with Mayor Baba when I heard about him. It's easy to get attached to some mandali. You have an affinity, you will say, affinity to one rather than another. So I was receiving letters, but from Baba, which was always written by one of the mandali, because Baba was not writing. He was silent. He uses his hand sign and hand gestures. So some mandali would read it, and then they would write whatever he said to do. So I would write back, and then sometimes I'd address the mandali. Baba did not like that. He wanted that the focus had to be completely on him, because his mandali all had their focus on him and not on each other. It is not, when you're with an avatar, you don't look at anyone else. You look at who you're, who it is that you want to be closest to. And I did absolutely want to be as close to Baba as I could get. So Baba was very good with that. And he made me understand that I was not to be concerned with those that were with him, but rather with him personally. And that suited me fine, but that was a lesson to me that I stick with him and I don't look at anyone else.
yeah, that makes sense. And just to kind of follow up, did you ever pinch yourself? Because I'm reading this book and I'm like, wow, this Baba is God. And then you just like, we're actually talking, you know, you had the privilege of being with him and corresponding, and you're sharing that correspondence with us, and we can feel that. I mean, it seems amazing that's God. You know what I mean? Like, do you ever pinch yourself? Why me? Why us?
Well, you know, I was never much for pinching myself, but I was more for thinking that here I am in a state of limited consciousness where I'm in extreme limitation. There's a lot of things I just can't do. And here I am sitting with somebody who is everywhere in everything as he speaks about his consciousness of what he experiences. He experiences being everywhere in everything. I experienced myself as being separate from everyone and everything. There's a big difference there. So, so I'm thinking, here we are, after all this time and ages, you can say, and the two of us, coming from completely different realms, are sitting together, talking to each other, and having a nice time doing it and enjoying our company. He enjoys my company, however he can do that and does it. And I am enjoying his company. And the two of us are together now after all these ages of time. How did this happen? How does it happen that the Supreme Being and myself are sitting together? You know, this is but he was really very nice. If you ever sit with the Supreme Being, you'll find that he likes you. And he liked me a lot. So I thought, if he likes me, I can like him too. You know, so we both liked each other very much. And he was a great friend, and he would do and advise me things that were always for my own good. And there was never any compulsion or force that you had to do anything. You do it if you want. And in the meantime, the smartest thing is to do it the way he said, because it works out that way. Yeah, otherwise, who knows how things are going to work out. So there was that time when we were together like that.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
And you like him, you know, you see, Baba is also a friend. You have to look at him when he comes into human form as a friend. He wasn't all that hot about disciples and people, you know, he needed that, you know, because people would assist him in all the personal things that he needed. But at the same time, that was not his mission. His mission was to unveil you so that you could wake up from the dream of thinking that everything you see, touch, feel, and smell is real. These five senses are not giving you the experience of reality. They give you the experience of what the illusion or the imagination of the mind is. And so whatever is put in front of your consciousness, that's what you see, and that's what looks real, because you have a sharp consciousness to look and see every detail. But Baba was always pointing out, and he said this many times, I'm not the body. Don't mix me up with the body. I'm not that. So you have to see me as I really am. And I'm sitting there in one time or another with him, and I'm thinking, good. I want to see him as he really is now. Now that he said it, let's see what happens. Yeah, I need to see this. That's what I want. And the time will come for that as well. Time has to come for everything because there's so much time. There is an endless amount of time. Time has no end. In Baba's time, it's always now. Now has no beginning or end. Imagination of what you remember has a beginning. Of what you predict or what you would like to see happen that you imagine for the future, that has its own end. But now is the only time that actually exists, and that's where Baba lives, in the now. And that has no beginning or end. There is no, it is eternal. It is not limited by time as we see it. That has a before and after. So it'll happen when it happens, and when it happens, it'll be now. Huh? How about that?
Yes.
That's what I like. Dead silence.
Like it a lot, Irwin. We're so glad that you wanted this to be interactive and informal and just loving to Baba.
Well, of course, you know, that's here's I want to recite a poem. It's titled "The End of the World." He said 3/4 of the world would be destroyed. This was not said by any ordinary man who tries to predict the future. This was said by the God-man who makes the future. You may believe him or not, but he did say it. Many were shocked and begged him not to do this. Then he said something remarkable and put their fears to rest. 3/4 of the world's ignorance will be destroyed. Later, he told of the golden age to come, that he was here to take us out of a dark age. In this world of toils and troubles, where is there room for love? All the wonders that the human mind can think of, be they of the arts, music, or sciences, or the great stories told, only means something when I love you enters the picture. Someone once said, death cures all ills. But I say, love does a better job. It is said, you were there before the world was, that you are the very self of everyone. It is you and your love for us that will be here at the end of the world.
Beautiful, and you have it memorized. We're not going to say you read it beautifully. You recited it beautifully. Thank you.
Well, I did read it. I can't remember any of my poems to recite them by heart, by mind. But it's all there. And the truth of Baba's words, which it all comes from him. I mean, it's not like he talks to me or anything. Doesn't do that. That he does for maybe Janet, giving Merwan's name, or to other people. He may actually speak and say something, they hear it. But to me, he works through circumstance a lot. Whatever I may need or that I have to actually ask him about, he just arranges it, So the old saying of actions speak louder than words, I'm happy to say is the way things work with him and me. He does the action, I do the words. I can read you another one. Why not? We're reading poems. So here it is. It's titled, It's Magic. Who says that magic does not exist? Not the kind that magicians do. That is make-believe magic. Good for shows to fool you. There is a magic of the soul. No fooling about that. The magic of the soul can make any dream come true. It can bring love into your life where none was. It can make you experience your all-powerful self. That's real magic. Will it, and it is there. If you would like to do magic, go to the master magician of the soul. When the great astrologer came to him, he asked the master of life and death if he believed that the stars guided human destiny. The great one said, if you follow me, I will teach you how to guide the stars. This really happened. Now, if that is not magic, I don't know what is. The thing about magic is that it is no different than the laws of nature that is everywhere. You won't call it magic when you discover how it works. Magic is the mystery of not knowing how I did it. You can call it a miracle if you like, as long as you don't know how it was done. But once you know, will you call it magic? Still, I love magic, especially the magical feeling of love. I can see love. I can't see love. I can't see God, but I know you're there. You both came to Earth in human form. Meher Baba, how did you do that? It's magic.
That was an excellent one. I think Jeff is is maybe raising his hand. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you, Gail. Hi, Irwin. Hello, K-Bob, everyone.
Hello.
Irwin, hi, Irwin.
Go
Sure. You read the poem about Baba predicting what would happen to 3/4 of the earth. And my life has been spared from death many times. Many times. So for many reasons, I believe in Baba and I believe in God. And I have an idea that when it's my time to let go of the body, it'll be exactly at the right time. What I want to ask you about to help me with my own confidence and faith that Baba is running the show. It's everything is being impeccably done, everything. But I get worried if there is major earth changes in the earth, a lot of pain and suffering, or even not that we'll talk about politics. I don't believe that Donald Trump is going to be elected. It looks like Harris will be elected. Nobody knows. Baba knows. But I get very worried about certain things like earth changes and people in power positions in America that could cause a lot of pain and suffering to people. And I know life has pain and suffering, as Baba said when he was Buddha. But if there is anything you can help me and maybe others, how could you give me
I
confidence
understand.
that I have? But
Yeah,
you know,
I understand what you're saying.
thank you, Irwin. Thank you.
This is a very popular question that has been the same throughout history. In every age and every time, there is always such a commotion going on when you look at the way that countries relate to each other, and they fight and they have wars, and then it's a bloody mess when it comes down to things like that. At the same time, in the world, there is always music and art and dancing, and the beauty of loving each other and God Himself. So you have everything happening at once. Now, let's take a different view of things. Let's look at our own planet as being a tiny speck in our own solar system. There are other planets. There is the sun. You may be interested to know that the sun you can put thousands of Earths inside the volume of the sun. That's how big the sun is. It takes 8 minutes for the light and the heat of the sun to get to the earth at the speed of light. That's right, 8 minutes, because it's 93 million miles away and light only travels at 186,000 miles a second. So it sounds fast, but it is very slow when you're talking in terms of cosmic distances. But then you take the whole solar system with all our planets, with the sun and everything, and compare it to other, how many solar systems there are in the galaxy. There are trillions. Do you know, I can't even count a billion. A billion is too much for me to think about how much a billion is, much less trillions yet. And the galaxy that we live in has all these planets going around all these suns. You can't even count how many planets there are then. And that's only in this one galaxy. Then they have telescopes that will show you that there are trillions of galaxies in this universe. Trillions. And we're talking about what's happening here in a little speck of a little place that we call the earth, as if this is the only place that there is. And we have no idea of the vastness of where we are and what we're a part of. Well, as if that's not enough, there was a time when Upasni Maharaj and Baba, both Upasni Maharaj being the perfect master that gave Baba the divine knowledge, they were both sitting together in a room, a cabin or a hut, and Baba's disciples were outside with instructions not to let anyone in. Turns out that when Baba came out, they asked him what was happening inside, what the two masters do. And Baba said that they were counting universes, and that Upasni Maharaj had to stop Baba from counting, because if he were to continue, he would lose his connection with the physical body, and then he couldn't perform his work as the avatar in our world. And so he therefore had to stop. And so they never did count as many as there were. And we're talking about perfect masters here. So when scientists wonder if there's a multiverse out there, according to Baba, there was more universes than he could count at the time. How about that? Multiverses? Well, scientists can think as they please. They look for the evidence that they can gather. But then again, there are the masters who also have that knowledge far beyond what any scientist of our time would know. So when you're thinking in terms of the larger picture and landscapes and there's another thing I just remembered, that as far as animals going extinct, we're very concerned about that. But you know what Baba said? He said that when one form of life goes extinct, it takes the same souls that have to enter those forms now enter other forms. Nothing, evolution is not frustrated. They will go into other forms. What used to be the monkey kingdom, and which is going more or less extinct now, it's not totally extinct, but it's going that way. There's less souls that can enter into that form, which is prior to the human state. However, those same souls are now entering into cat and dog forms in order to live with humans and catch their impressions, so that they can also have that when they have to become human. Now, becoming human means only one thing. It's not how good or bad you are. It has to do only with what your consciousness is. When you gain a full consciousness, you have to take a human form. A human form is what is necessary to be able to advance because you now have a full consciousness. It's not going to grow anymore. It's already full. Now it's a question of using that consciousness to realize the infinite self that you are. So this is the purpose of what human beings have. But as far as getting a human form, you cannot take a human form without a full consciousness. Once you're eligible for full consciousness and you have it, then you can take human form. So that's the way the system works. And this is an age-old system. This is nothing new. Whether something goes extinct or not is not going to frustrate evolution. But Baba also said that even when the world comes to an end, it can be hit by a meteor. I'm just assuming different scenarios here, or a gamma ray burst from some far off star, or anything that could destroy the life on Earth. Then Baba said the masters have already arranged for another Earth to take its place. So the evolution and the life for self-realization and involution continues on, and it never has stopped. throughout the billions and trillions of years that have gone before and what will come after. Nothing is stopping. Everything is going on. And it's good to understand this so you don't worry your head over it. But if you can do whatever you can in the meantime, living in your life, and you want to help with this or that, it's a good thing to do. You can do it, but not to worry about it. That like everything is coming to a crisis and the whole thing is going to go down the tubes. And don't worry about Trump, because you got to remember who's running the show. Once you understand who's running the show, then you'll know that Trump, no world leader, has ever run the show. This is something that the masters do in the which they have their own purpose, which is to develop your consciousness so that you can realize God. Their purpose is to help you along the path of self-realization, and that is their purpose. So anything that works towards that end, they will do it. And if people get so involved with them with the materialistic side of their life, then it has to be balanced out, and maybe through some form of suffering or something that you don't have to, where you begin to realize that there's more to life than just the things that you possess. So I'm not giving perfect answers to any of this. All I know is what Baba explained, and the way that I understand it, I'm sharing with you, and that's what I do. I share what he told me to do. He said, share with them, share with others what you experienced with me, because I had the good fortune of actually being with Baba for a while. So this is a good fortune that many of you may have had previously in some past life. After all, he did meet millions of people over the period of his own life, and so many of them all dropped dead or died of something, and they come back again. So whether you feel you met him or not, your connection with him is always there, because the connection is in the mental world, not in the physical world. The physical world, yes, there is a physical body to the avatar, but that is not how he operates. He operates where he is in the mental world, where there are no restrictions and limits as there is in the physical world. So all you need to do is just think of him, picture him. There you are. But if it has to be sincere, not just, fooling around. He's no fool. He's no one to fool with, but he is someone that you can express and experience a lot of love to, because Baba, if anything, was all love. And this I can tell you from my own personal experience as well. Baba was all love. I'm doing a movie now, I'm making a new movie, and there's one scene in it in which Baba is saying, I am, no one understands me. This is what he said. No one understands me until they understand me as infinite love. You got that? No one understands me until they understand me as infinite love. And when he says he is the self behind all the bodies and minds of all creatures, including human beings, ants, animals, it don't matter. However advanced on the higher planes they are, there is one self behind all the bodies and the minds of all beings, and that we live in a what we think is real. He said, you're living in a dream that you think is real, and I come as the awakener to wake you up from it. You can't just meditate yourself out of it, or imagine yourself out of it, or do any kind of exercises or fasting or whatever you want to do to bring you out of the dream. It's not real. It's an illusion. But you're so absorbed by it, and you necessarily have to be, because that's where your entire consciousness is. It's in this illusion. So you're absorbed by it. But now I'm telling you, and I'm in the illusion with you, to tell you that it's all a dream, and I've come as the awakener to wake you up. So what do you have to do? You have to stick with me, because you stick with the one who's going to wake you up, not with somebody that can't. See, that's it. You want a master? You want to get somebody's help? You get the one that's going to help you. So it's like being with a king. what will you ask a king? For a pin? Anybody can give you that. That doesn't know. Why are you asking for pins? You ask for what a king alone can give you. If you're with God, it's the same thing. You ask what God alone can give, not what someone else in your imagination can give you. So you do like that. That's how it works. And it's been working. This is a system that's gone on for ages. It's new to us if you haven't heard about it before, because we don't remember anything from before we were born. No memory. You get a new brain when you're born. You don't remember nothing from before because you're in a fresh brain. Now you have to learn everything in now that's suitable for you, so that you can not be influenced or anything from the past stand in the way of what you have to know now. So you have a fresh brain. So you don't have a memory of the before. And that's why people can be atheists. They don't believe in anything because they can't remember. It all has to do with memory. But once with a master who has no limit to his memories, to what he knows. He's in a entirely different consciousness and experience that he has that we don't. So then you can benefit from that. That's the point of it. You be with somebody that you can benefit from, who can actually take you to a higher level that you wouldn't otherwise be able to get. And when I first heard about Baba, I just wanted him, I was reading about how he is in the God state. I said, I never experienced God. I want to experience this. So I said, I'm going to go see this Mayor Baba who has this and can give it to whomever he wants. Because when I was reading, I read where it said, even if the worst scoundrel stood before me, and I had to wish I could make him realize God in less time than the flash of a second. So I said, you see that? Don't even take long when the time is when he wants to do this. Whether he wants to do this for me or not, well, there's only one way to know. I better get over there and find out. But Baba did tell me some really great things. He didn't give me God realization of the experience itself. But what he did do is he told me that there'll come a time where I'll give you the highest experience. He told this to me and my brother both. We both came together. And Baba said, I'll give you the highest experience. So later I thought, what's the highest experience? His experience. How could it be otherwise? He's the highest of the high. He says so. He knows what he's saying. If that's what he is, and he wants to give me and share that experience with me, so that's what it'll be. I have no idea right now what that is, but that's is due to come. All I know is that I'm hearing it from somebody that can actually do it rather than somebody that just wishes you the best. I can wish whoever I want the best. I can't do a damn thing to make it happen. But but you go to somebody who can make it happen, that's different. Then that's what he tells us. So he says, stick to me. Love me above everything. That will help you stick to me. By sticking to me, then you can realize me. You can realize me, what I am. You'll see what you are. We're all one. Did I say all that? I think I did. All right. I don't know if I answered your question, but I think maybe I did answer it in some way.
Thank you. Thank you.
You don't have to worry about the world and everything. That's Baba's job. Don't take his job away from him. He wants to do his own job. Nobody has to get to think that they're going to do it. But do the best you can. He likes that. He likes you to do within the limits of your own understanding and things the best that you can, but not worry about it. He will see to everything, And if you get into a tight corner and you don't know what to do and you need extra help, so you ask him. He can do. He wants to help you. He's there to do that also. It may not be the God realized state that you're asking for. Maybe you just need something to help you with your work or whatever small things that we have that we have in our life. But it's good. You can ask, and if it's a good thing, he'll help you with it too. But in the meantime, you got to keep your eye on the ball of what you're really born for. And that is to know the real thing about your unlimited being. Then you don't need to ask nobody nothing. You see, then you're there. Baba's not asking for anything from anyone. He doesn't do that. He's self-complete. He is a complete self. And that's what you have to become. We all have to become that. I was talking about religion earlier with Tom. He's here, and how people come to him from various faiths. Some are Christians and some are Buddhists, some are Muslims, Jews. You can be anything and or not believe in anything. It doesn't matter to Baba, because the fact is that all of these religions are paths to God. Baba has said that. He said they'll teach you about God. It's a path. It's a path. You can practice it. It's a path. It gives you the understanding about God. But once you reach the master who is in the God state, and he is one with God, then all these paths have to be put aside. You don't go and look back on the path as to what they're doing when you're at the end of the path and you are with the God-man, the God state, in the God state. Now, this is where you really want to be. You want to get to the God state. That is the goal. Yeah, you may not have known about that before, which is what most people, I think, do not know. But when you do know, then you don't have to worry. You don't have to concern yourself about the path that you use to get to the God-man. Now the path is over with. Now you're at the end of the path. You stay there with him, you see, because that's what it was for. All these paths lead to him, ultimately. But so you have to concern yourself with what religion you belong with or were born into, because all of them are paths. And once you're finished, once you reach the end of the path, you don't have to look back on it. Okay, having said all of that, now I can take a breath. What? I'm going to read you a new poem, since everybody is jumping in to talk. This poem is called, well, actually, these are circulars that I had sent out some time back, but it was a long time ago. So most likely, even if you heard it before, you wouldn't have remembered now. So now I'm going to read you what I wrote. It says, today I am including two stories that share the same meaning. The first one is titled The Bad Boy. Boy, was he bad. He was angry most of the time. Hurting people was no problem for him. He was a terror on four wheels in his car. He hadn't killed anyone yet. Offer him some money, and he would make you dead. Give him a gun and watch him go. He was only 10. I could see it now. Reform school, jail, and maybe the chair. What kind of future does this kid have? Still, there is a man. There is a man who loves boys, girls, men, and women like this. They're all the same to him. The worse they are, the better he likes them. No ordinary man for sure. Now, what can anyone do for the murderers, muggers, rapists, genocide killers, the worst of the worst? What can love Who can love such animals in human form? No ordinary man for sure. Now, what can, excuse me, I just read that. That it is, okay. So a man, not like us, also takes human form. He does not punish for misdeeds. Even if you were to torture him, crucify him like Jesus, skin him alive like Shamsi Tabriz, he will not retaliate or think less of you. Could you do that? I could not. But then, as I said, he is not like us. Instead, he declares something amazing that no man I have ever heard would say. Even if the worst scoundrel stood before me, I could make him realize God in less time than the flash of a second. I will turn sinners into liberators. In the face of this, the bad boy does not stand a chance. I did not stand a chance, nor did all the people I know, be they angels or devils, stand a chance that came into his company. This is the man who sees himself as the self of everyone. He is the transformer of minds. Who else can turn the greatest sinners into the greatest liberators like himself? Lovingly always, Irwin Luck. Then there is the second part. It's not a second part, it's just a second poem that is continuation. It's titled The Man on the Hill. This is a true story. There was a really bad man who lived in the village at the bottom of the hill. He controlled the village people the old-fashioned way, with fear and intimidation. He made his living as a thief. He would steal from the rich and the poor equally. He had no scruples. He lived by no law except his own. If you got in his way, murder was no stranger to him. Then he got the news. The man on the top of the hill was calling him to come up the hill. This was the mighty Sachamang. He obeyed no one. This was unheard of. Who would dare to beckon him? So he ignored the call. But then his mind began to work. Who is this that calls me? The curiosity began to plague him. I must know who this is. So he, the great and fearless Sachamang, trod up the hill, but he did not come alone. He brought with him his gang. Now it is recorded in Lord Mayor what happened. As soon as he came before the beloved master, he prostrated himself at his feet. What, you may ask? Sachamang has never done this before. People would bow before him, afraid of what may happen to them if they did not show the proper respect. Then the great Lord said to the humble Mang, I will paraphrase this. You come before me, but will you do my bidding? First, you must give up your thieving, murdering ways. Be careful how you answer. If you agree before God, I will take care of you and your family. If not, go your own way as before. You will not have my protection. But if you agree and do not do, God will be displeased and you will become paralyzed. Sachamang, in that moment, chose to become a humble disciple. In one moment, his life changed. When Mayor Baba would call the poor to him and bow before them, he would call Satyamang to stand with them so he could bow to him as well. Now tell me this. When the meanest, most depraved man can be saved from the fates that await him, then what are my chances? Maybe I can better understand why St. Francis of Assisi said, when asked, why did God choose to make a saint of you when you were such a scoundrel? He is reported to have said, God wanted to show that if I could be made into a saint, then he could do that for you too, no matter what you have done. In his mighty love, Irwin Luck.
That was great, Irwin. That was really great. Both of them. Thank you.
You're welcome. But this is the way Baba works. And we have to remember that these poems are inspired by the things that he already said to everyone. Now, he may not have put it exactly in the same words. He doesn't have to. He uses his own words, but it meant the same thing. I'm not going to say anything until someone says something.
Well, I'm just curious about your new book that came out. That there's a new book coming that you're working on.
Oh, no, it's not a book. It's a movie. There's a new movie
well,
that I'm working on. And this movie is probably going to be different than most of them of Baba that you see, because there's many great movies that have come out, very where they give you the history of everything that happened with Baba and all the things. This is a different kind of movie that I'm doing. This movie will show the difference between Baba's consciousness and ours, and what we experience compared to him, and how he works with us that way. It's a different kind of movie. It also will include the scenes of Mara and the personal contact that she had, and the way that she lived with Baba in a personal manner, because you never know someone until you live with them. And that is a very important thing to understand. You can hear about different things, but when you live with the person, that's when you get to know who they are and what and how they are. So so this film is going to be very unique in that regard, and that's what I'm working on. I've
Thank
already
you.
completed the entire script of the film, and and we have videos of what were done with Mara when I was traveling around the world, filming all the different disciples and people that had so many great stories to tell of their lives with Baba and what she said. You're going to love this one. I think it's going to be a real knockout, this movie.
Eva has a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I was also going to ask about your movie. It sounds wonderful. When do you think we'll be able to see it? Will it be on Zoom or YouTube?
Well, you're asking me when it'll come out. All I can tell you is this. When I did that other movie that people see now, the one titled Mayor Baba, Avatar of the Age,
Mm-hmm.
it's also an incredible film because it does show Baba's love in ways that most films don't capture. But just the same, that film, when I was asked at the time when I was calling for donations, and I needed money at the time to copy the negatives and make prints. Oh well, I don't want to get into all that. But anyhow, people would ask me, "Oh, when is it coming out?" So I'd say it's 6 months. 6 months. Oh, doesn't sound so bad. Then 6 months later, we're still working on it, And somebody would be asking me, when is it coming out? And I say, oh, it's going to come out most likely in 6 months. And I kept saying 6 months, no matter how many years were going by. And the reason I said 6 months was because I couldn't imagine working on anything longer than 6 months. So it was only because I couldn't extend my own mind to think if I had to work on something for years, my God, I would probably never want to do it, you know. The film, after quite a few years, maybe 6 or 7 years, I suppose people didn't think anymore that this, what is he talking about, a movie? How is it coming out? You know, he keeps saying it doesn't come out and all like that, you know. So no doubt they were thinking like that. Finally, it did come out. And boy, what a knockout it was. This movie actually played in theaters all over the country and played even internationally in other countries as well. It was produced later on DVDs and then made into where you could see it on YouTube or at least the trailers and whatever. I mean, it's available. So it became something so amazing that even I'm trying to think of his name. He was a filmmaker in Holland, um, Louis Van Gastra. He happened to come to the center at the time when I first came out with it, and he saw it. He comes over to me afterwards and he says, "This is a masterpiece." And this man, he didn't call things masterpieces so easily. He was a really award-winning filmmaker himself. And it was a shock. That film was a great shock to a lot of people. They never saw anything like it. So you could look at that if you haven't seen it. And if you have, then you know. Now we're talking about this film. You asked me, when is it coming out? You really want me to tell you?
6 months, right?
Do you know that I asked Baba at one time, I pressed him because I wanted him to show me God. And I pressed him and pressed him to tell me when. And then all of a sudden he said, okay, 6 months. So in 6 months, it's going to happen, however long it takes. You see, that's the way it works.
And if
In
not 6
time,
months, 6 months from then.
In his time. Now, I do think that this film will not take as much time as the other one for one reason. We're using computers now, whereas previously we had to use an optical printer, which really took a lot of time sending the films to the labs and getting them back and then working it over and doing more. It was a big job to do it like that. But we did do it. It had to be restored. I mean, there was so much that had to be done. But nevertheless, this film, we're using computers. And computers, you really cut the time down enormously. As I said, I have already written the script. We have already gotten the videos that we want to use that we are planting into the script. And now the rest of the film picture portion, I'm working with Bob, what's his name? Fredericks, yeah, Bob Fredericks, who's helping me with the picture portion. And he's doing it according to the descriptions of the different events that are occurring on the in the movie. So I would say that it could be, in realistic terms, maybe a year and a half. You know, ask me in a year and a half what. But
I will.
in the meantime, I think of that as a realistic possibility because of the fact that we're using computers now and not the optical printing setups that we had to use at that time.
Well, best of luck with that. And I look forward to seeing that.
Okay, that's a good stuff.
Rich Sander has a question.
Who?
Rich Sander.
Oh, okay.
Irwin.
Yeah.
I still want to preface my question with one comment. I'm so grateful you made all those early films. Every time I see one, It's amazing. So the question is, though, what do you think in terms of Baba and divine love? What do you think about human love? Human love.
I think human love is good. Merrill wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. So I'm just fine with that. I think Baba was very much open to everything. Love in every shape and form. He liked love. He wanted, you shouldn't hurt or harm anybody. This is the main thing, that of all the commandments and all the things that of how to live in the world that Baba spoke of throughout all of his advents, it was, you could sum it up in just one sentence: don't hurt or harm anybody in thought, mind, or physically. See, as long as you don't hurt or harm anybody, then you're living a decent life. That's you know, you may not get along with people and everything. You can have your squabbles and difficulties and irritations and what, but as long as you don't hurt or harm anybody, and they don't have to hurt or harm you, then you're living a decent life. And then Baba can work with you to evolve you to a higher plane than what you would otherwise have had. So I think that this is human love being wonderful. Love in all its forms is quite wonderful. You know, when it's practiced in a way that is happy for people to be happy. Now, as far as lust and the passions go, generally, as you get closer to the master, a lot of things fall off. They just fall off. You have ideas, you have feelings of guilt, maybe that you should have done this better or something else. All of that stuff just gradually falls off, because Baba, in order to get you God realized, has to wash away all the mental impressions that you've stored in your mind and which you are still under the influence of. So gradually all these things have to be just washed away. And he does it in a very gentle and loving manner according to the nature of each person. Each person has their own better nature as to how they like things to be done. Baba knows that. He's in your mind. He knows everything. So he knows that, and he works with that. I would say that is fine. You know, I think that he like you to have one person that you could really love and could love you back. They should love you back too, you know. You can love somebody and they don't love you back. What kind of a love is this? It becomes a bit irritating. But
Thank you. Thank you
that's
very
the
much.
same. All right.
Let's hear some more poems. Oh boy.
What?
Let's hear some more poems. Oh boy.
The poem? Okay, let me see what I got here. I only have tons of them, so I'll try and find one. This is called The Powers That Be. When I went to see the Master of Universes, was it me that made that decision, or was someone higher up guiding my mind to see him? Now, you know, I want to pause there for a moment. This poem came about because Baba once told me I was sent to him by another master. So then I began to think about this. Where did I get all of a sudden this thought that I had to go see Mayor Baba and want to know God? I mean, this whole thing, you know, where does all this come from? From my head? Well, I wrote this, The Powers That Be. I'll start again. When I went to see the Master of Universes, was it me that made that decision, or was someone higher up guiding my mind to see him? What lies behind the veil that I do not see. When he said, "No one even hears my name unless I will it," I thought it was me who willed it. But then there is the veil, that impenetrable veil blocking my vision. I am grateful to you for luring my mind into your company. There is a lot the God-man has to suffer when he decides to when he decides to free someone from the bondage of ignorance and pain. He has to do it with love. He has to make you weep for him and for those who also suffer. Maybe there is a whole planet of people he wants to free from the endless rounds of births and deaths. It takes a lot of love to free so many people. Bliss and the knowledge that comes with it does not come cheap. How would you feel with love? How would you free with love so many people ingrained with ages of selfishness? It takes someone who is not contaminated by this egotism. If I lay down my life to save you, how will you respond? Will you love me, whereas you could not do so before? See what sacrifice can do? It can turn on even the coldest heart. What would you have to do to make a whole planet of frozen hearts love you? Oh Lord, you have your work cut out for you. How can a man live in every heart and mind, knowing all and not know love? Not be love. So when you ask the Almighty One, why do you allow misery and suffering? Look at what you are asking. He knows only love. Still, we will ask eternally, why do you allow us and yourself to suffer, great all-powerful God of love? Lovingly, Irwin Luck. Here you have it.
Bravo, bravo. Excellent one.
This is one that I wrote to Baba. Now, the ones that I read, I wrote in 2010. But this is a poem that in those days, when Baba was in the body, there was much communication and correspondence between us. And oftentimes I would write to Baba in some poetic form because that's the only way I could express to him my feelings. So this is titled, If I Were You and You Were Me. Let me see if I can get this here. Okay. Oh Lord, what would I do if I were you? I heard there is no end to what you do. You tell of a conscious state in which such souls on that plane can create worlds, breathing with all kinds of life. Is this what I would do if I were you? This place is not for me, so you say. One fatal mistake and a precipitous fall in evolution back to stone consciousness. Certainly, I am not so perfect as to be beyond mistakes. He is wise. I better not go there. Instead, there is a plane in the mind where thoughts are made and realms where dreams are real, without the limitation of the earth plane. Happy states of all kinds that once you enter, you do not want to leave. Certainly a state I would consider if I were you. But no, this too is not for me. There is more to go. There is the great mirror, where the mind is the mirror of the soul. What's a soul? It's me, always was. But in this mirror, I see me. What a glorious being I am. I see myself as everyone and everything. Who knew I would see my light? When I saw you on earth, it was my light all along that I saw coming out of you, calling me. In this mirror, I can see the truth. If I were you, what would I look like? How would I feel? What would I want? No mind, however great, can show me that. But you can show me. It just takes a touch. When the drop touches the ocean, it becomes the ocean with all the innumerable drops in it. If I were you, I would do everything just like you. Once I become what you are. Great Lord, no mind has the answer to do what your love can do. To make a world full of your lovers, one with the only one. So I say, like my mother used to say, isn't love great? Irwin Luck. Actually, I have to correct myself. This was not sent to Bob. There's another one titled, If I Were You and You Were Me. That was the one that went to Bob. Not this one. This I wrote later. Oh, well. I hope it's understandable, and clear, some of these poems, because to me, it's second nature, but, to everybody else, maybe never heard of such things. It may not be so second nature. It might not even be first nature. Okay. Somebody want to say something now? Or you want to leave me to my own resources?
Oh, we just love another poem. That one was Out of This World.
Thank you, Irwin.
Thank you, Irwin. Thank you very much. Irwin.
Okay, I'll read you this one. It's titled The Transforming Lady. This is a really good one. I really like this one a lot. He was just an ordinary boy. He was riding his bicycle to school when he met the transforming lady. He only saw her each day on passing. But she knew him. Her eyes were filled with love for him. She kissed him on the forehead, and then something happened, which no words can describe. He died on the spot. His body was living, but he was not in it anymore. His body wandered around aimlessly. He was somewhere else. His mother thought he might have gone mad, but he was not. The transforming lady worked fast. Enlightenment doesn't take long. A second might be too long. What happened to him was different than what he knew before. Suddenly he became what he always was, the only one in existence. As he later declared, the cosmos is a dream. Only the infinite self we call God is real. Boy, what a change. To go from a boy going to school to the consciousness of being everywhere and everything. All knowing, enjoying unlimited bliss and love. Who wouldn't like it? The makings of an avatar. Hazrat Babajan, she was called. She could make a beggar into a king or a boy into anything. One day, you will meet your transforming beloved, who will love you so much as to give you the treasure that includes all treasures. When that happens, it won't take long, less than a second, I am told, to become the most beautiful thing that ever was, irresistible to the core, someone the world will love and want to become. Oh, Merwan, you can do this. This is your destiny, to make us what you are. Most lovingly always, Irwin Luck. How about that? To make us what you are.
How about that? What a poem. You are just such a great poet. I really appreciate your coming tonight. And keep going. I'm not trying to stop it. I'm just responding.
Oh, but if anyone wants to ask anything or say anything, please feel
love
free to do so.
Think of her as a transforming lady. Wow, that's a the emperor, the great one. Wow.
That's right. Yeah, she really was the transforming lady, no doubt about it. And she could do that. And so, as I was saying to some of my friends that come around here, I said to them, everyone needs to meet their Baba John. Everyone needs their Baba John to enlighten them to what she did with Merwan. But then I thought later, but there is that. Baba John is really there for everybody here, because when she gave the real realization of the divine self to Merwan, then she was able to give it to everyone through him, because that's what he does. He gives what she gave to everyone. If only they stick to him and they come to that point, because you got to get washed clean to be at that point.
Jill Davis has a question.
Yes, hi Irwin. So I love stories you tell about your father, and I'm really enjoying the poems as well. But is there any way, do you have any poems about your dad, or is there a story like, the letters between him and Baba that you can tell us?
Irwin, you're muted. Irwin, you're muted.
Okay, now you can hear.
Yes.
Hear me now. Okay. For me to be muted is a tragedy. That's no good. I don't see a picture of Jill, though, on the screen here. Is there a picture of her too?
No, Irwin, I'm not feeling well, so I just.
Oh, I see. All
Yeah.
right. You're excused.
Thank you. Sorry.
Anyhow, you asked about my dad. My father was very hostile, as you may well know, in the beginning when we first wanted to see Baba. He did everything he could, and he was quite capable, because he was no dummy. He really knew all the tricks to try and stop you from anything. But we were determined, and I speak of we as my brother and I. We were absolutely determined. We were going to go see Baba. And whatever he did, said, however he tried to make us sound like we were the worst of the worst to Baba, so that Baba would reject us. Baba knew the whole thing, and he didn't reject us at all, of course. And in fact, he was very loving to my dad. So in spite of his letters to Baba that Baba shouldn't let us come, he was a man that went through a transformation. And it took some years for him to go through this transformation. He, in his letters originally, said some of the worst things to Baba himself. He wasn't just condemning us; he was condemning Baba as being a fraud. He was just saying all kinds of things. But then Baba would answer him in his letters, and Baba would say things to him like, "You see." He was afraid that Baba was going to try and steal our love away from the family to himself. This was one of his great fears. So Baba would write back to him, "Dear Mr. Luck, I received your letter and was very happy to hear your concerns." He was so nice to him, in spite of what he was writing. I'm very happy to hear your concerns, and I want you to know that Baba loves Irwin and Edward, and he is wanting them to return back and be with you, to take care of you, and to take care of you in your family and in your business. And and Baba likes, above all, family harmony. And he sends you his love and blessings. This was the answer to all of his accusations that he would make. So he gets these letters from Baba like this, and then there's nothing really that he doesn't want, that he doesn't like. So he becomes muted, and he becomes like, well, maybe Baba isn't so bad. Maybe it's just my sons that are no good. You see, so he thought of that as a. And then later on, he spoke about Baba as being his friend. And this was after a few years. And then so I asked him one day, I said, "But is he your best friend?" And he said, well, he started to list his different friends, all the different ones. And each one he listed, he would say something derogatory, that what was wrong with them. He would list a friend and then say what's wrong with him. Then he list another one and what's wrong with him, and what's wrong with the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And I'm thinking, these are friends, but just the same, he was saying these are his friends. Finally, he gets to Baba. Now, Meher Baba, yes, he understands me. He said he understands me. He's my best friend. Believe it or not, from one end of hostility to looking at him as a friend, as a great friend. But then I also thought about my dad. He has no idea about what Mayor Baba is and what his mission is, or anything of the sort. So in my mind, I directed my thoughts to Baba that he should do something so undeniable to my father, that he could not deny what was happening. He just couldn't deny it, because he always considered himself to be a realist. In other words, what I see, that's real. If I see myself in the mirror, that's a real me in the mirror. Everything was real, whatever he could see. Now, so, he considered himself like that. And one of the reasons for that was he was a very successful businessman. So because of this, he also had an ego, and he began to think of himself that he's right all the time. Well, all right. Now, what happens? He's sitting in his chair in his living room. He's come back from the office, and he's looking at the newspaper. And he tells me, he says, something happened. I can't tell you. I just can't tell you. So he continues, looking. I said, well, wait a minute. You started something now. Well, what do you want to say that happened? He says, you'll never believe it. I cannot tell you, because I'm a realist, and this really happened, and you would never believe me. So I'm not going to tell you. And this goes on for a while. He just wouldn't tell me. He keeps saying the same thing. I'm a realist. This really happened. You'll never believe it. I'm not going to tell you. And this goes on. Finally, I tell him, I said, now, wait a minute. You keep telling me the same thing. But I've heard many stories of all kinds, and I had no reason to believe it, not to disbelieve it. If somebody says it happened, that's all. So you could tell me what it is. I think that's what you'd like to do. He says, all right, I'll tell you. I'm sitting here in this chair, and I'm looking at the newspaper, and I feel that there's a presence in the room. So I put the paper down, and there's Mayor Baba. He's standing in front of me in his white gown, and he has two disciples with him, and he motions for them to sit down. They sit on the carpet. And then he tells me something. He says, don't think that, let me see, let me try and remember this. He says, you can hear me speak now because where I am, I can speak. He said something like that, see, to him, that he could speak where he is now. And then he went on to say, I'll come and see you and visit you 3 times, but the 3rd time will be the last. And then there were other things told to him, which I don't recall now. And he then vanished. And then my father said, he says, I'm telling you, I'm a realist. This really did happen. I would never say otherwise. And I knew why he kept saying this to me, because if anybody had told him a story like this, he would call it Baba Mansas. In Jewish, it means grandmother stories. He'd never believe it. To him, that's impossible. It's not going to, whatever they imagined, that was it. But since it happened to him, he can't say that because he's a realist. And he's telling me what happened. So, and as it turned out, there was 2 other incidents too, where Baba did appear to him. The second time, my father was having problems with his son, Richard, was getting married. And he didn't want to, so there was a difficulty, some argument occurred, and he was going to be paying for the wedding. Now he decided he's not paying. So he said to Richard, I'm not paying now. Now I'm not going to do nothing. And because they had that argument. So this was very disturbing to Richard and, everybody. Well, that's when Baba appeared to him. And Baba told him in the course of things, he said, what you decided to do originally with your son, just continue to do that. You do his wedding, you should do that. And then Father said, because it was Baba, he told me this later. He said, because it was Baba saying this, I did it. But if the rabbi had told me this, I would never have done it. He said this, he actually said that. So this is how he gradually became closer and closer to Baba, to accept what Baba said, to know that that was the right thing, you see. And then there was a 3rd time, but I don't recall exactly what it was, but he did tell me that he appeared that time also. And now, so what happened before he died? He lived to be 94. And before he died, it was a few years before, and then he wrote down something that he felt about Mayor Baba. And I'm just going to, excuse me for a moment, and I just want to get it. I have it on the wall here. Yeah, okay. You know where it is? Yeah, all right, he's getting it. He's getting it from me, and I'm going to read it to you because he wrote this. My dad wrote this, and it shows the transformation that he made from the way he originally felt to the way he feels now. You see, he wrote this and I put it on a plaque. You can see the plaque here. All right. I'll read what it says. Mayor Baba is my friend. That's how he titled it. A man who follows in the path of a master is never lonely, for he lives in the guiding light of love. Never shall he fear when the master is near. To me, Meher Baba is my friend. His passing is not the end. Eternally, I shall feel his guiding hand. And Morris Luck. That's what he wrote. So I asked him just before he passed away, I said, do you think that Mayor Bob is God? Now, that's a big deal, you see. To go from friend to God is a big deal. And he said to me, now I am one of you. Wow, that's how he put it. That was his answer. Now I am one of you. So I asked him, I said, does that mean that you think he's God? But my dad is very feisty. He said, I told you what I said, what I think. That was the end of that. I hope that answers your question.
Those were wonderful. Thank you. Love stories about your dad.
I'm
I
so
know.
glad you asked that question, Jill.
He's become quite famous because of the way he opposed him and then eventually came so close to Bob. And I felt later on that, there is a story about Bao in which he was sitting at the table. No, there was a story that where Baba called him over. They were all going to have dinner together, him and the Mandali and everybody. So Baba called him before the dinner, and he said to him, to Bao, he says, regardless of what anyone says, even what I say, I want you to continue to eat no matter what is said, you keep eating. Will you do that? So Bao says, yes, do it. Yeah, if that's what you want, I'll do it. He says, that's what I want. You must continue to eat regardless of what anyone says, even if I say. Well, then the dinner starts. Now the dinner starts and everyone is having their food. And all of a sudden, Baba's stomach begins to growl. And it just starts to make a loud noise. It's growling. Wait a minute. There. His stomach is growling. And it's making a big noise and everything. And Baba is looking like he's having pain in his stomach. And so everybody, all the Mandali, people around the table, they all stop eating. And they're trying to see what they can do for Baba that would help him. And in the meantime, Bao is just merrily eating away, like nothing is happening. He's just eating and eating. Finally, some of the disciples, they say, how can you keep eating? Don't you see Baba's having difficulty? We have to try and see what we can do for him. And Baba is now swaying back and forth, and he's acting like that. And Bao, he totally ignores everyone. And he just, and then there's something else. Give me that. I'll have that too. And he's eating away. And Bao is, and then finally Baba says to him, how can you keep eating when I'm in so much pain and I'm having all this difficulty and you just keep eating like nothing is happening? And Bao, in the meantime, is just asking for more things. Give me that, pass that too, pass that also. And he just keeps going. And finally, Baba throws his hands up in the air, and everybody is all upset, And then Baba's stomach calms down and everything, and they finish their meal and they leave. So Baba's still at the table. And then Baba, when everyone left, pulls Bao over and he says, "You did it so perfectly. So perfect, just the way I wanted it. And you kept doing exactly as I said. That is what I like. That is what I like." And to that effect, told him, he told him like that. So this is uh, a story of what occurred with Bao. Now there was some reason that I wanted to tell you. I told you that story because there was something else that I wanted to lead to about that, and it now it escapes my mind. How do I get it back? See, it'll come back, and when it does, then I'll tell you.
That was a funny story, Irwin. And in the midst of what's going on now in the world, it just feels good to hear a funny story and laugh and smile.
Nothing is going on in the world that hasn't gone on 100 times before, and worse. You think this is something? This is nothing compared to what there was.
Mhm.
So, and you think that this is the end? In another few years, because we all live short lives, you see, we're living in perishable bodies. We shouldn't forget that part, that we live in perishable bodies. And then we're gone. And so what happened to everything that was going on? Nothing happened. It goes on, and it all goes on according to the script, because Baba is running the show. And and if we can remember that part and really stick with it, then you'll be at peace. Otherwise, you'll worry about the world and its affairs. But the mind uh, does that. You see, we have a mind, so it does that. But Baba wants us to know, don't worry. I'm handling it. He handles everything. You think the world leaders are running the militaries and the countries? They're puppets on strings, but you don't see the string master and you don't see the strings. So it looks like they're doing it, and it's for a purpose, because the world has to think that somebody is in charge. But the only one in charge is the masters themselves. And they tell you that even, but they don't show you anything supernatural so that you should see it, what's behind the scene. They just tell it to you, and so you have it in your mind, that you have a reasonable mind, you can understand it. And that's as much as we get. We get what we understand, but we can understand that we are eternal. Everybody is eternal. Nobody dies on the battlefield. That what does die are the bodies. Bodies, you inhabit a body, stops working, you're out of it. And then you have to take another one if you haven't finished everything that you had to do in the first place. So it goes on like that. And it's been going on like that for ages. We may not have known that until now, but you know it now, you know it. So you can take advantage of not worrying over it. You know, Baba said that he ran the Second World War. Sai Baba ran the First World War. Who ran all the wars before that? Whoever the perfect masters were. Nothing is happening that is not for the ultimate good of humanity to experience their God self. It all leads, all the rivers lead to the ocean. And the ocean is what Baba is, the ocean of love, the ocean of knowledge, the ocean of power, and the ocean of existence. The just it's everything. The ocean contains everything, all the bubbles, all the life forms. A whale, as huge as it is like a little tiny speck in the vastness of an ocean. And the world, the planet that we live on, is another speck in the solar system. Compared to the size of the sun, you can put thousands of Earths in it, just the sun alone. And then what about the solar system being one of the trillions of solar systems in the galaxy? Come on now. We're going to worry about what's on some other a planet where they're having a problem with their chemistry or their uh, uh, whether the planet is going to last or not. Everything moves on, you know. This is the world of the passing. In the imagination of the mind, everything passes. It's made that way. The structure is made that way. And as long as you're absorbed by it, you'll never see it any other way. But once you do see what Bob is talking about and have his experience and understand his experience, then you're not going to worry about it. So don't worry. That's why in the first thing that he ever said, don't worry, be happy. Worry becomes a habit long after the original cause has ceased to be. That was the rest of that saying, by the way. And we should know that. So,
Scott Orcutt has a hand up.
Who has it?
Scott Orcutt.
Okay.
Hey, Irwin.
There you are. Judy, this is Scott.
Nice to meet you.
What is it, Scott?
So I had a question that kind of came up with the Bao story. I know a big thing that comes up is Baba wants you to follow what he says to do, what he asks you to do, and there's his wishes and his other things that he's put out there, but it's one of those things that would be a lot easier to follow that if he was in the body to say, hey, Scott, do this. Then that would be a lot easier to follow than necessarily guessing what it is now. That makes sense.
You're talking about the mind. And we all have a mind. He's very connected to everyone through the mental world, the mind. There's no barriers there. Baba told me when I left one day, and I'm leaving now. I'm not going to see him. I'm leaving. And he said, distance means nothing to me. Time and space are no barriers for me. I'll be with you wherever you are. He's been telling the whole world the same thing. I got to hear it personally. That's the way I feel about it. And you can't ever see. I wanted to see him as he really is. That's what you want. So there's no barrier to that. You stick with him. All you got to do is stick to him. He said to love him above all else, because that way you get to stick to him. You always stick to what you love. So love is a very dynamic force. It's the greatest force that there is. People will do anything for the sake of love. So you stick, and then you die in the end, and you get reborn again, because your own self is eternal. This is another thing he pointed out. He says, look, nobody dies. Your body dies, but you don't. You inhabit the body, and then you leave it. When it doesn't work anymore, you have to leave it. Like an old car, you have to leave the car when it's finished. You don't think that you're the car. So, I have to say this here, and I don't know, you can agree with it or not. When Jesus Christ was crucified on the cross, people weep and wail about, oh, how painful and how much suffering you must have had. I don't see it that way. I see, like Baba said, I am not the body, which means there's the body on the cross, and he's aside from it, and he's looking at all these people, and they're crying and weeping and wailing. They're in ignorance. They don't know that I'm not that. I am not that body that's hanging there. They think it's me. I may as well put my coat up there, and you can stick nails in it and think it's me. I mean, there's, for all the practical purposes, that's not me. And if you saw that there were people weeping and wailing, and you had your coat on a cross of wood, you would look at them, you feel, kind of sorry for them. So much ignorant that they think that's you. But so that's how I see it. But how could I see that? Only after he explained and said over and over again, when I was with him, I'm not the body. Then I could begin to think like that, you see? Otherwise, how are you going to think that way? in this Advent, he revealed things and said things in such an understandable manner, like he never did in his past Advents, that was recorded. Don't forget, it's only what's recorded. We don't know so much that was never recorded because he was around for quite a long time. Look, Lord Buddha, Lord Krishna, Muhammad, very little is known of them, except a few things that that they have, and they recorded it, and it became their Bible, whatever he was saying at the time. But in this age, Baba just let the floodgates be opened. There's movies, there's television, there's books, printing, presses. So much so much has been recorded. My phone is saying, my phone talks to me, you know that. Yeah, it says, it usually says, I don't understand that. So I said, I wasn't talking to you. That's okay.
Irwin, you've got about 5 or 6 more minutes till the people come on to start Artie. So just letting you know time frame.
Okay. So somebody want to say something for 6 or 7 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever it is.
Or do you want to read a poem?
You want me to read? I'll read another poem. Okay. One more poem coming up. Oh boy. Let's see what I got here. What I tell you, you never know what you're going to hear next. I'm searching for a good one, and no matter where I stop, it'll be good. All right, I happen to stop at this one. It says, "Home at last." When a man is born on this planet, he doesn't know where he is. It is all discovery. Who is there to tell you what you will do during your earthly career? You come in with a set number of heartbeats to make of your life as you will. There are so many others like you, a world full of people like you. I started with mother's love. I was lucky to have that. Nothing was required of me, but it was not to last. Soon I would be off trying to survive and maybe making the world of all of us a better place. Somewhere along the line, God was mentioned. What's that? Someone you can't see, I was told. Still, he is someone to be reckoned with, an almighty power who loves me. I don't know about this. I'm not sure I even love me. Why would someone else, who I am hearing about for the first time, want to love me? I think I'll go home, if only I had one. Maybe if I ask the big God, who they say hears everything, maybe if he loves me so much, he will get me a home. What have I to lose by asking the God I cannot see? Stranger things have happened to me in my life. So I told my friend my story. He says there is a book. I can read it. It will answer all my questions. I wrote a poem about this in case anyone else out there wants to go home. It's titled The Om, the point from which all things began. Infinite universes, each one with infinite galaxies, with all manner of worlds and life wherever it is found. The avatars, perfect masters, have all spoken of it since the time language began. The science of the day trying to discover what is since the beginning of everything. Children, young and old, sitting together, humming Om. the original first sound from which all things emerged. Imagine a throat trying to make the first sound that started it all. The Om. Not just the beginning of universes made of matter, but the beginning of the greater universes made of pure energy, from which is made the worlds of matter, but also the beginning of the vaster universes of the mind, which holds the universes of energy and matter together. Who can understand and measure what you have created beyond our vision? Who can know the Om, where all things, inner and outer, sprang from? Only you, my darling, could have done such a thing, to create such a stage, such a panorama where anything and everything can happen. What an entertainment, the ultimate adventure, an endless place for endless love stories. The Om. It is said, it is but a speck in your being. You cannot be called God because no sound can describe the maker of the first sound. You are truly the nameless one. Infinite intelligence, consciousness, the force that holds all things together. Love Almighty pouring through the Om with only one purpose: to take us back home. Lovingly, to take us back home.
Well, Irwin, you have outdone yourself. This was so wonderful. I hope we'll have you back, and maybe toward the end of the year or something, get back in touch with you, because this has been a delightful evening. Your stories are incomparable, and your poems are so special and so beautiful. I hope you'll think about coming back again. But this tonight, we've had a good crowd, and everybody's just pleased. People are hanging in here. So thank you.
You're welcome. Happy to be able to share all of this with everybody. And if I'm alive, you can have me back again. If not, you'll have to play one of these one of these shows over. They're saying here, and I'm sitting here, they all think I'll be alive. Well, we'll see about that.
Well, thank you so much. Again, people may want to pop in and say something themselves, but yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. But it's wonderful that you were here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome very much.
Thank you, Irwin. Your poems are so wonderful, and I always love the emails you send out with your poems.
Well, I'll say this, that if there's anybody listening that wants to be on the email list, where we send a poem, a poetic circular out each week, then just email me your email address, and we'll put you on that list, and you can get it.
What's your email address? What's your email address for us to?
OP as in Paul, F as in Frank, D as in David, 22 at gmail.com. So that's OPFD 22 at gmail.com.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to say good night, and Artie's going to start shortly. Eva, thanks. You made the arrangements. So we'll have you back, and trust that you'll be here. And I'm glad to know about your weekly poems. And good night. And Mayor Baba bless all. Jai Baba.
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, Irwin. Thank you.
Thank you, Gayle. Thank you, Irwin.
Thank you all. We've really enjoyed them. I do hope you come back, Irwin. Like Gayle said, maybe the end of the year.
How about in 6 months when that movie's done?
Yeah, that's right. Just you'll ask You wait 6 months.
There you go.
Irwin, when are you coming to Mehrabad? October.
Well, we were discussing some of that. It's a little hard to say. Judy had some surgery recently, and we're waiting for her to feel better. And we'll see, I never know for sure when I'm going, but it could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
I will come and meet you in December.
You're coming here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Call me. Give me a call.
Yeah. Jai Baba.
Mayor Baba, Jay Baba, Avatar
Jay
Mayor
Jay Baba. Nice.
Baba. Okay.